just crazy stuff happening all the time, stuff coming down from up on high. We got just, if anything is true about our lives, they're ever changing, aren't they? A lot of stuff for you guys to juggle every single time you come in for a UTA. But of all of the things that we're juggling and all of the things that are important, what's the most important thing every UTA?
Training.
Who are you training?
You're
Not according to your bosses. According to you, what is the most important asset that you have?
Airman.
You're Airman. So it doesn't matter that we have ADLS or ARCnet or any of these other systems or TOs or anything, right? We don't have people to get the job done. That's our number one asset. Can we all agree on that? Number one asset. We aren't getting warheads on foreheads without people. Right? Okay. So let me ask you a question. I want everyone to be honest. Do you know your people?
Yes.
All one of them? All one of them. I know him individually very, very well. Okay, so you said yes? Yes?
Sort of. I know him pretty good.
Sort of? Who said sort of?
That was me.
Okay.
I know
You know him pretty good, sort of. Yeah, you were emphatic. You were like, yes, I know them.
Clem and,
Who else? Supervisors. Do you know your people? Be honest, do you know them? What do you need to know about them? What's important to know about them? I want everyone to close your books. I don't even want the books open. Close the books. Not worried about what any textbook answer or anything else is. Close the books. I want to hear from you. I want to hear from you about what do you need to know about your people. What is important that you know about your people?
What are some of their likes, dislikes? What are some of their goals for the future? Do they want to go to school? Do they want to be in your shop? Do they want to go to a different shop? You know? What do they like? Do they like video games? Do they like golf? Do they like paintball? You know?
I always make a point to ask when somebody comes in, how do you learn? Do you learn visually? Do you want me to show you how to do it?
Okay? Why is that important?
Because if I show them, or if I tell them how to do something, they may not learn that way. They might be a visual learner, or an oral learner, or I don't know.
Okay. And you were saying?
What motivates you?
Right, that's
You know, if I'm going to train you, I want to work with you, I need to know what motivates you, what gets you going, what are you interested in, what you're not interested in, what makes you happy, what makes you sad, what makes you mad. I need to understand, I need to know who I'm working with, so we can work together, so I can get you trained to do what needs to get done. Like she was saying, if I don't know you, how you are, who you are, what motivates you, I can't train you. That's going to help me understand. You may not even know how you learn hands-on or visual. You may not even know. So if I'm taking the time to get to know you, I might understand, oh, okay, well, you're hands-on first, so let's go out here and change a tire or whatever.
Okay. So what are some specific things that you should know about your airmen? So I heard a lot of the personal stuff. You should know their family. You should know their likes, their dislikes, all of that sort of stuff, how they learn, all of that. What are some other things specifically, career-wise, professionally, you should know about your airmen?
Where they want to be.
Okay. What do you mean? Either one of y'all. Goals, where they want to be. Same thing.
I mean, if there's somebody who wants to advance, you need to know that in order to try to help them get there. I mean, if there's somebody who's, you know, I mean, I've known people who have come in there like, I just want to do this because I enjoy it and I don't want to go any higher than like senior airman. I said like they will not do ALS or anything. Well, I mean, that's great, so I'll invest my time to get you there. But, you know, if you're willing to be a senior airman and someone else wants to go, say, to master or chief or something, I'm going to gear things differently for you based off of that. I mean, I'm not going to, there's no need to keep sending somebody who only wants to be a senior airman up for, say, Airman of the Year or anything, because that's as far as they want to go. Whereas this person who wants to go higher, it'd be worth more for them to be put up for it.
Okay, so you may look at what kind of awards can you put them in for to help them move up. Okay, good. What else?
It could be like just career track. I mean, you may not always want to be enlisted. You might want to go the officer route. You may not want to be a personnelist. You might want to be medical. I mean, you just have to kind of see where they want to go, and that way you can focus on how to get them there. But you first need to know how to get them there before you try to.
Absolutely. What else?
You can also like try to mentor them, like as you said, if you know how to get there, you should be informed about how to get to the next level so that you can help your troops get there. I mean, I don't think they would have a lot of confidence in you if they're like, hey, what do you think I should do to? I want to try to, you know, I want to try to make check. Well, what do I got to do? What do I got to have filled out? Oh, my doctor's check. I'm like, I don't know, man. You know, I mean, they're probably not going to come back to you after that, you know. So I mean, but you tell them, you know, the Air Force is really trying to press hard on CCS nowadays. Before long, you're not going to be able to make ends tech if you ain't got a CCF, but they're going to keep bringing it down. It might be staff next, you know. So you really want to try to press hard on that. You give them the information, really be like a big brother to them to let them know how to get to where I'm at, what I've done to get to where I'm at, and what you can do to get further than I am, if that's your goal. You know,
Okay.
just be someone they come to and ask for advice and stuff.
Okay, so where can we find a lot of that information? Where do you personally find some of the information that's in your records? We asked you to bring something with you.
Portal,
ArcNet.
The portal. You can find it a lot of places.
Personal NPS.
Anybody bring their career data brief? So if you have yours, what kind of things are on there that you might want to know about your airmen?
Data range, things like that.
Data rank. Why is data rank important?
Promotion. Promotion.
For when they're eligible for their next promotion? Okay. What else might you want to know on there? Any of y'all look at your own and go, oh, geez, there's stuff missing. Like, I have a master's and it doesn't show. Or,
Yeah, it has like your PME, classes, you know, what you've been to.
okay, why is it important that you know what PME they've already taken?
Promotions.
and what else you, courses they may be.
If you're trying to push them toward a goal, do you know where they already have been? You want to start talking to a senior airman about Airman Leadership School and then look at you and go, dude, I finished that 6 months ago. Okay, kind of important stuff. What else is on there that you might be interested in?
What kind of awards and stuff they have to have.
Okay. How often can you get an award? Not that we're going to go into those because that's coming up later. Every 3 years. So when's the last time they got an award? Is that important to them? So there's some really important stuff for you to look at on this. And if something is wrong on your own, you should get it corrected. But more so, you should help your airmen. Do they know where to get this? Do your airmen, are you confident that all of the airmen that work for you know how to go pull this actual report and know what it means to them?
Pretty confident that they actually don't know where it's at.
I would say that you're probably in the majority, that they don't know where it's at. So help them fish. Teach them how to go out to the portal and find all of this information and find the stuff that matters to them being the next chief. Because you can have an airman that walks in your door today and says, I want to be a chief. My ultimate goal is to be a chief. How do I get there? So you want to know these things about them so that you can help them get there. So any big surprises in any of that? You guys feel like that's it. We got it. We understand all about our people. Yes? Yes? Okay. So that's what we're talking about today. We've already talked about do you know them and why is that important. We've talked about some examples. Okay? And civilian job is something that we didn't really touch on too much. Why is it important you know something about their civilian job?
Because their civilian job can conflict with their military duties.
Sure, in what ways?
I actually have an example. I mentioned it while we were doing this. We had a troop, well, not mine personally, who he's an EMT, and his duties require that he gets a lot of training in that job. And it interferes with him coming here for UTA weekends to do the training here for his, so he can deploy. And he was supposed to deploy, he didn't, because he couldn't get the training, because he couldn't get away from his EMT training. And that's where he had to make a decision as to what was more important to him, was his civilian job or his military training. And he chose his civilian job.
Understandably so, it's what pays the bills, right?
Exactly.
So we have to understand that. Why else would it be important for you to know their civilian job?
To know their work experience, know what they do and how it might or how it might not relate to their military job.
If I fuel aircraft for American Airlines, might that not help me fuel aircraft for the Air Force Reserve? There might be some crossover. So we should know something about that civilian job, be it whether or not it's going to interfere, or how can we exploit some of that learning that's already taken place. So you have some different things to go out there and look at. Family, we talked a little bit about family. Finances. Why should we know that about them personally?
Who's having financial troubles, I mean, him getting out here to the UTA may cause financial burden, especially if it's somebody who has to kind of take off of work or something, that may cause them to not get as much income as they would.
He got out because he was losing too much money for one girl weekend. I thought, and he wished he could stay. I talked to him all back. He wished he could come back because he was losing too much money on girl weekend.
I've heard that frequently from people.
There's a guy, he lived in Tennessee, and I got down to North Carolina, but he was on a Palace Chase, so he had like a mandatory contract he had to do, and Polk was the nearest one to him, because the job was 8 hours one way to get there, and so he had to take off time from work, so he losing money there, and spend 8 hours in gas to get there, and 8 hours to get back, he was losing money.
Sure. Think about your airman that's coming 3 or 4 hours, and they're getting paid, a couple $100 for the weekend, and they're driving in and all of the same things. So think of your airmen especially, what they're going through. What about if they're just having trouble putting food on the table? They can make it, they live close to the base, that's not an issue, but they're going home and their family has no food.
And they put him on orders.
Maybe they lost their job and financially they're struggling.
And it might affect their overall performance, because they got bigger things to worry about than coming here on a UTA weekend.
Yep. So how much in tune to that kind of stuff are you? One UTA weekend, I was getting ready to leave the building, and we always left Sunday pretty late, the commander and the support staff and myself, we always leave fairly late. And one of our tech sergeants was still there. She was a staff at the time, still there, and she's getting ready to leave, and I walked into the room, and I was talking to her, and she said, I can't even buy groceries this week. I don't have any money. I can't buy groceries for the week. Why didn't the supervisor know that? Why didn't somebody try to do something to help her? We all did. If we didn't have cash on us, everybody ran to the ATM, got her some money so she could buy groceries that week. But where was the supervisor? How did the supervisor, how was she not, the supervisor not approachable enough for this person to go to them? So do you know what's happened? Because absolutely right, what Sergeant Robinson said. Their mind's not going to be on fixing that jet or fuel in the jet or whatever else they have to do, right? It's going to be on, how am I going to feed my family this week? So we have to think about those things. The other part of financial is what happens if a member loses their security clearance because they're not paying their bills?
No, so your GTC.
Not paying their GTC. So those are the things that we need to be in tune with personally. I think all the rest of them you guys had already covered. That's important. Professionally, again, I think you guys have covered the vast majority of these. And in training, we really talk a lot about how do the people learn, because that is important. It's absolutely important that people understand how they learn, so that you can continue to develop them and get them where you need them to go. So let's talk a little bit about learning styles. What is it when I say a person is a visual learner? They see things.
Unless it's see it being done, they watch. They can understand it better when they're watching somebody
Okay.
or seeing it being done.
Okay. Anybody else have anything else to add to that? Right?
She pretty much hit it right on the head. So,
Okay. What's a clue that somebody's a visual learner? What might they say?
Can you show me that?
Can you show me that? I see what you mean. I see. They're referring to show me, see,
Could you
that
repeat
sort of
that?
thing. Repeat is gonna be, yeah, that's gonna be a little bit different, okay? So, visual. So what kind of things can you do to help your visual learners? What kind of tools can you use to help your visual learners?
Pamphlets and printouts and things that they can refer back to. PowerPoints.
Okay?
Then go out
Yes,
there-
most of us hate death by PowerPoint.
Then go out there and watch the other guys work for a couple of times, so start doing it, just go out and watch. You do it.
Okay, what else? What are some other ways that you can help them? Any other things that you can use to,
Videos.
videos would be a good tool. So you've got PowerPoint, you've got videos, carry around these iPads, you might have YouTube on them, that sort of thing. Any other things that you can think of that you might include in there?
One-on-one sessions with them, where you, like I said, show them, or you talk them through it.
Okay, so when you're talking them through it, they're doing some visual mapping, right?
Mm.
So they're, in their mind, they're formulating what that looks like. Yes, okay, what else? Anything else that you guys could think of that you would add in there?
Pictures.
Pictures. Pictures speak 1,000 words, right? I used to tease crew chiefs all the time because all they needed was crayons and a coloring book. So when I worked in wing training, I was really I love the crew chiefs. My husband and my son-in-law are avionics, so I love the crew chiefs. If any of y'all know maintenance, that's always a battle between the two, the pointy hat nerds and the guys that put the air or wash the windows and all that good stuff. Anyway, it's always a fun time. Auditory. How do they learn?
Listening.
Okay, through listening. What might be some clues that they're an auditory learner? Can you say that again? Can you repeat that? I heard what you said. I hear what you're saying. Okay, what else might be some clues that they're auditory?
Tell me how you do it.
Tell me how you do it. Okay, cool. What kind of tools can you use if this is their preferred method of learning? What kind of tools can you use for them?
Audio tapes, recordings.
Okay?
Lectures.
CBTs are a combination of both, right? Okay, and we all love them, but you guys know we're doing a test on those, at least at a few bases. We're testing it right now for AFRC, where we are condensing, we're eliminating about 24 hours of your CBT time. So everything is grouped. So almost every UTA will do a set of, and it takes 3 to 6 minutes to go through what you would do in one CBT.
Oh, you're doing God's work then.
I don't know that it's as thorough, but if you've been through those CBTs as many times as some of us have, you're like, yeah, can you please get this over with? 3 minutes is even too long.
Can you just put the knowledge?
Yeah. You don't even have to do that. You don't even have to do that. Your training manager will update it for you. Okay, so you're listening to it, you're receiving information through sound. What are some other ways that you can learn as an auditory learner? Think of one of the most obvious ones out there. How are you going to learn? How are we learning right now?
Just by talking so that
We're having discussions, right? We're talking to each other. You know, I heard what you're saying, this is what I think you said. So we're talking it through. We're getting feedback from each other, right? Okay, so that's our auditory, guys. How about kinesthetic?
That's hands-on.
No, that's not tactile. And you know what? I always think of them as being the same. But for our purposes, we have both kinesthetic and tactile. So let's talk about kinesthetic. What is that?
That learning by doing.
That's through real life experiences and demonstrations. So yes, you're using large muscle groups in the process. And I don't mean your jaw. Okay? So this is the experiential learner. So how do experiential learners learn best? By experience. Oh, yeah. What is the clue that I'm a kinesthetic learner?
You always talk about your past and relate everything to a situation that you've been in.
Okay? What tells me that I'm a kinesthetic learner?
When you ask to do the task yourself, rather than just watching, being a participant.
Yep, my 2-year-old grandson says, I can do it, I can do it, I can do it. That's your kinesthetic learners, okay? Participation. You want to get in there and be participating in the activities, in what's going on, okay? So that's kinesthetic. What about tactile now? That's the hands-on. And what's our clue that that's our hands-on?
Show me, let me do it.
I can handle it. I can do it. Let me touch it. How do you help them learn?
You show them and let them try.
Yeah, maybe you read it, like if they do the task, you just grab them and read it.
Okay. Okay, so they're using it. They're doing it. And that involves which not large muscle groups. What do we use in there? Fine motor skills. We're using those really fine motor skills where we're putting our hands on it, we're touching it, we're feeling it, all of that sort of thing. What are some other ways that you can help them learn that way? Those that are tactile. And who are our most tactile learners? Maintenance. People in maintenance are going to be very tactile. What about age groups? You guys, how many generations are you working with? Think about it. In the reserves, what are the age groups you're working with? 18 to 50. You have to retire when you turn 60. Okay? So those of us that are up there, we're baby boomers. Okay? So I'm a baby boomer. What's this age group down here?
Millennials.
Millennials. What do you have in between? Generation X, Y. You're dealing with several generations that all learn a little differently, and your tactile people are typically those people that are down here, those millennials. They need to touch it, feel it, do it. You need to let me get involved and do it in a pace that works for me.
That's why they got these little babies over there working on iPads better than like a lot of adults.
Listen, I have a 13-year-old grandson, and about 2 years ago, he was playing with my cell phone, and I went to find something on it, and I'm like, Matthew, what'd you do with this app? And he said, oh, Grandma, I put all your apps in folders. I'm like, seriously, I couldn't even find it. I didn't even know how to do that. But my 11-year-old grandson did, and he moved all my stuff on my phone. I couldn't find anything. So it's just kind of a scary world we live in when 2-year-olds are playing on iPads. But this is how people learn. And is it important that you know that about people? Do you know how you learn? Are you sure you know how you learn? Okay. All right. Well, let's talk a little bit about that. So here is, and all of this is in these books for you, so when you go back and you start reading through it, if you want any information, it's all in there. So here's what we just talked about. Your visual learners, how do you help them? Your auditory, your kinesthetic, and tactile. And I really kind of always group those two together because they really do go together. And I am a kinesthetic learner because it's the only way I can remember anything. I have to do it so I can remember. Oh, I'm in the wrong one now. So before we move on to that, we're going to determine what your learning style is. Okay, if you guys would take one. Okay, so what's really important when you do these questionnaires, any of these things that we do, it's always very important that you get to as soon as you see something that sounds like you, the closest to you, you just mark it. There's not right and wrong answers on this. If you really want an honest assessment of where you are and how you learn, don't stop to think about what do I want the results to be. You want to see what they are, so mark it honestly. Everybody get one?
I think we need one more.
We're missing one. We have one more?
Nope.
It's okay.
No, we'll get you one.
We can share.
Yeah, we
I
can
just-
share and I can just write down.
my answers on them.
Cheating on each other.
No.
You see what's on the back of that, okay.
Okay, thank you.
Almost done?
Some of the stuff in here is ridiculous.
Yes, there will always be some that go, you go, who on earth is this?
I want to circle more than one answer.
Yeah, it's just whatever's closest.
That's just what everybody said, though, because how they look what it's saying.
Yeah, well, if everybody says it. Okay, so let's talk about that for a second. Any ahas? Anybody learn something new about themselves? Okay, so how many are visual? Visual learners. We have one. How about auditory? Oh, you're visual. So 2 visuals. How about auditory? Anybody learn by hearing? How about kinesthetic? Tactile.
Last one. Yeah, that's all.
Oh, that's right. It's mixed in. Okay. Most of us tend to learn that way, especially as we get a little bit older. We will tend to learn that way a little more because we can't quite remember as well. I hate to say that, but that's true. Your
I'm
short-term,
like right down the middle
your
almost.
short-term memory is. But did some of y'all have that where you were relatively close?
Yeah.
Okay. Do your people probably have different styles? So we're going to blend some. Why would that be important for you to know that as well? You may get them a little quicker if you can rely on a couple of different styles. So it's important to know and to be able to blend and do things different. And if you're a strong kinesthetic learner, but you're dealing with somebody who's a strong visual learner, that might put you at a little bit of odds because now you're trying to train them. So you're going to have to really figure out as a supervisor and a leader how to make that happen. So given everything that we've talked about in this section, and knowing your people, what does it mean to you as a tactile leader who must train and supervise and lead your personnel? What does it mean to you to have this information that you just learned? What's going to be different when you go to work because you just went through this block?
You just have to be able to be flexible and adapt to the learning styles of the people that you're in charge over, because what works for you may not necessarily work for them.
Okay, what else?
If we're that style, then we may want to physically get in there and do it. Say, this is how you do it. But we got to be able to step back because they're probably not visual. Because it's hard probably for that type of person to step back and be the visual person because you're teaching somebody visually.
Okay. So anyone else, any thoughts on that before we move on?
I guess I think you're a stronger person too. Like if you're a kinesthetic learner and you have to teach somebody else auditory, and it gets you into, I don't know.
Oh, it might help you personally. Nice, I like that thought. So it might help you develop another area of your learning style. Is there any harm in you finding out what way that they learn?
No.
So you could do it a couple of different ways. You could ask them questions, you could really listen. You could have them do this questionnaire. There's a lot of different ways for you to figure it out. The most important thing is that you figure it out. As a supervisor, as a leader, knowing your people and knowing how to get them where you need them to go is going to be huge for you. You will achieve so much more if you have really motivated people wanting to do the right things to get you where they need to go. So you're going to develop your folks. That's a part of your responsibility. And so we're going to move right into developing.
Sorry, Nick, can you come up and help me?
Sure.
Just right on this side, if you would, please. Take a seat. All right, we're going to push through. We're going to talk about mentoring and developing. It shouldn't take. Have a seat right there, please. Mentoring is exciting. All right. See how serious my face is when I say that. We're going to push through. We're not going to take a break. We've only been going for about a half hour, so just stay with me. All right, guys. Come on in, Sergeant Hicks. Have a seat.